And I want to thank you all for coming in. As I explained to the band, you're all the Chicano music in the U.S. And when we had the opportunity to have Ozomatli visit the campus as part of Ozomatli Day, decreed by the city in 2010, we thought this is like a Reese's peanut butter cup. It's a good mixture coming together. You guys don't even know what these are, do you? So the format today is we're going to have a little bit of a discussion about music and activism. Allow for the band to kind of talk about some of their origins and the way in which they have kind of brought these things together. And then you'll have a chance to hear 2 songs, I believe. At the end, we're going to do this all in an hour, and then you'll have a handout relative to Ozomatli Day. How many of you have your cell phones here? I should have said, who doesn't have their cell phone? You're encouraged to videotape, photograph, whatever, and the band will tell you a little bit later on about what you can do to put this together and upload it to the Ozomatli website so that these can be shown on, I think it's April 24th? 23rd on Ozomatli Day. So we'll be handing out a sheet of paper that has that website, and they'll say a little bit more, but feel free to just start recording, photographing, anything. You strongly encouraged to do that. So,
tagging.
And tagging, yes. So what is the hashtag?
Hashtag Ozomatli Day.
Ozomatli Day. So hashtag Ozomatli.
Hashtag back to school.
Yes, back to school. Back to school. Or a hashtag. Look at what I'm doing, Mom and Dad, during my class. So. You're probably all familiar with Ozomatli. They've been around for almost 20 years and exemplify, in many ways, the meetings of almost all musical forms that one can hear in Los Angeles. What you may not know is they actually got started trying to form a workers' union, and were able to get a building that they had access to for a while, and it's out of that coming together that the group formed. And what we're going to do is really allow the group to say a little bit about their own experience from such beginnings to the present. And in particular, and what led, and I think part of what led the City Council to declare April 23rd Ozomatli Day. Which you may not know as well is that their second album, Embrace the Chaos, was actually released in 2001 on September 11th. And I think they were really notable in terms of not saying stop the music, but we need more music, and continuing to perform and to bring their message to audiences. The word Ozomatli is a reference to the Aztec god of dance and music, and also harvest. And I think that's important as well in terms of the gesture to the indigenous, to pre-Columbian, but also to the role that music has in our day-to-day lives. So with that, what I'd like to do is just invite the band members to say a little bit about their experience of continually working not in music and then politics or activism, but bringing music and message together as a part of day-to-day experience and life. So feel free to just jump in.
Hello, I'm Raul. All of us have been in Ozomatli since the very beginning. We've had different members who've come in and out, but us and one more guy who's on his way has been in it since the very start. We started at a labor protest that Will was involved with the original drummer, and we got together to provide a reason for people to come and support the space. And when we first got together, we were all playing in different bands, we were all playing different styles of music, but I think that what was important was that we wanted to provide something that was that we could create energy with and create kind of like a reason for people to be together. And we also saw that everything was different for everybody. I saw it as an opportunity to learn a lot of music. So the reason that we continue to kind of go from style to style is because everybody's into different music, and we've always felt that this was a place where that could be expressed. In the bigger picture, I think that that became a story on its own of how the different sectors of the city, different things that everyone is into, can just kind of get over those differences and kind of find a way to make something beautiful together. So for me, that's kind of been the most important story that we've been able to generate, which is all these differences can be in one place, there can be beauty around it, and I've been very happy to be a part of this band for almost 20 years.
I should mention before we go on that Raul has actually been a visiting scholar here at the center and was very instrumental, as it were, no pun, in helping us develop a number of exhibitions looking at Chicano art by bringing the musical dimension into it. We were looking at art and activism, and it was important that we have music reflected within that. It wasn't just posters and murals, it was also the musical forms that were being developed.
A gentleman and a scholar.
He is a gentleman and a scholar.
Tell him about the beginnings.
Hi, I'm Will. Thank you so much for coming. I think that's like it's really nice to see this many people. Is this like a real class?
Yes.
So are you guys at class or you just came on your own? Oh, this is a real class. Oh, you have to be here. Okay, I take that back. Yeah, you're welcome. Yeah, we've been together 19 years, like Raul said, and it's been definitely a journey. We played here on campus many times. First time I remember was in the quad in that next to the Wooden Center, right in the middle. You guys know what I'm talking about, that circular stage in there. Yeah, we played Royce Hall a bunch of times, all over. So I think it's just exciting to be here. Yeah, and you know, and just to be in front of young people again is nice for us. And yeah, thank you. Oh, we're supposed to talk about yeah.
Oh, about the
the beginning. Okay.
The beginning.
The beginning. Okay, the beginning was we started in downtown LA. How many people are from LA originally? Oh, a lot of us. Cheaper to go to school here. We started like right next to downtown LA, 4th and Bixel. It's kind of in between, I guess, I would say MacArthur Park and downtown LA. And we started, me and our original drummer, Anton Morales, were working for an organization called Conservation Corps, which is still an organization that prides itself in helping youth get jobs in the inner city. Well, we were being the workers there. We were actually fighting for workers' rights. So we tried to start a union. We ended up losing our jobs. They tried to take away our building. We ended up holding a sit-in our building we had a 1-month standoff with police and the Conservation Corps. And through a mediation process, we ended up getting rights to the building. And we decided, what are we going to do with this building since we lost our jobs? Well, we decided to start a community center dedicated to arts and inner city youth and sports. We had like skateboarding there and stuff. We just wanted a place for kids in LA, specifically on the kind of just west of downtown. There wasn't anywhere for the local youth to go after school. There's no real parks. There was MacArthur Park at the time, but I don't know if you guys are familiar with MacArthur Park. It's not really a place where you want to be a teenager hanging out. If you're there, you're probably there for, at that time, drugs or something.
Nefarious reasons.
Yeah, other reasons. So we got rights to the center. We started, and that's kind of how the band came together. Me and Anton basically called each one of our friends that we knew that were musicians, and these guys showed up, and we would do benefits there every Friday and Saturday night as much as we could to raise money. And yeah, from there we started playing art galleries in downtown and ended up in Hollywood and started, just going on and continuing.
Now, how important was it early on to mix it up in terms of musical styles, and what was it like? Because listening to you guys, it seems pretty seamless, like, yeah, that makes sense. But then you start parsing out all the elements, is that how they do that?
I think we had to learn all the rules before we broke them.
Okay.
When you start fusing different kinds of music together, it's important to know the rules before you do it with any kind of music, or else you insult the whole culture in a way.
Yeah.
Like there's so many times when you hear what people portray as Latin music, or what they hear it as, or what they see it as on TV. We had to make sure out of experience, so it doesn't get either exploited or interpreted in a way where when you watch it, you feel bad. I remember as a little kid watching Speedy Gonzalez on cartoons, you know. I didn't think it was that bad, you know. I thought it was just funny as a kid, but it was because I didn't have all the different, you know, I guess the jadedness of going through everything that my parents went through. So when my parents would come and see me watching Speedy Gonzalez, they would just change the channel real quick and say, "That's racist." You know? That's the way they see us, son. So you gotta be aware of that, how you're being seen. So it kind of applied too in the music, you know. It's really important to kind of all of us in our own way be a curator of our own cultures and be aware of everyone else's. So there's no, you know, just gotta walk this earth in a universal manner. That's with all the music, at least that's what we try to accomplish. Whether it was subconscious or not, you know, what we do with our music, fusing all these different cultures and different music together, you know, we kind of want to see that within people. If you can have in our shows, you'll see people, especially early on, people that love dancing salsa or cumbias or hip hop or rock or anything. At one point, you look at the crowd, the diversity of it, and they're all dancing together, and that's, in a way, I guess that is the way of the beauty of what we do as a group with multicultural art. Does that answer the question? Brought a tear to your eye? Any other questions?
I think one of the questions you were talking about is how the fusing of the politics and the social activism with the music. I think the one thing for us is that even if we weren't in this band, we would still be, I think, involved in various causes and things like that. So when we do, as a collective, pick something that we want to support, I think it's important for us that we were all on the same page together. So if it was going to be like an immigration, pro-immigration thing, or playing for anti-police brutality thing, it had to resonate between us all. And I think the one important thing that you can take from that is that unless it's something that's genuine in you, like, you know, then don't, you know, if it's not, don't do it, you know? Because I think for us, the activism part is kind of part of Ozomatli's DNA. So it's something that's just kind of part of us. We never like thought about it like, hey, maybe we should become like this political band. Maybe we should, you know, it was just already part of us, and we felt that we could use our band and our music to maybe help various causes. At the time, of course, like when we first started, like Will was talking about, we did a lot of stuff for the Zapatista movement at the time, a lot of stuff for I mean, some of the things we work on back then are the same shit we're working on now, you know? It's kind of sad. Yeah. We were a big anti-war band, you know, and so, yeah, pro-peace, and so that's one of the things. It's like if it's something that's genuine that resonates in you, you know, it kind of don't be you know how sometimes when you see other artists or other people, it's kind of almost poser-ish. Like what do you do? You don't even know what's going on. But for us, it's genuine. So I think it was natural for us to incorporate these ideas and elements into the sound and the whole DNA of the band.
What do you feel that you're able to do in terms of social issues, politics, that is different than, say, somebody that's protesting out on the streets, or maybe a progressive elected official? I mean, what is different that you're able to do as musicians, and how do you feel that that's helping change things or push for change?
Well, I'm sure Raul has something to say. I'm not going to go into the illusion that because I know that there's people on the streets and that there's people who are actually doing serious work on the day to day, right? And for me to be like, oh, I just wrote a song and it's just as chingon as what you're doing, you know, it's like, nah. Like, I think that what inspires us is seeing those people do that work, and then us create music and art that hopefully pushes them and inspires them to continue their work. Because I feel that their work is 10 times more important than I mean that's just my opinion, than what I do almost, you know. People who are actually on the streets
doing the work, doing what it takes to make policy changes, to make, you know, help our people out, you know, I think is a lot more important, you know.
I think there's different rules for us that we don't have to, let me see if it works.
Yes.
I think there's different rules for us that we don't have to worry about our jobs so much sometimes. I mean, it's like we can write a song or bring attention. It's a different audience. I think that any kind of action with momentum in all different areas, especially now you see it in media, right? Something might go viral. You know, it's that you never know how these images, these messages, like get out to so many people. And we've seen recently that they actually have some kind of effect on people. They create some kind of momentum. And so increasing that, I think, is one thing that we have. We're just another method of how a certain subject, a certain perspective can be put out there for people to be introduced to, for people to maybe ask about, for people, we can send people to, you know, someone else's website. And we've done a lot of that. We kind of align ourselves with causes that we agree with. And we get approached often, and when we can do it, and when it makes sense, we do it. So, you know, recently, I'm trying to think of an example that I could give you. We did something about Prop 8 on our last record. It was a song called Gay Vatos in Love. And it was all this talk about marriage equality, and we just felt right away that we were on the side of people who we feel are underdogs. Because I think if there's a choice that we have to make, that's where we're going to be. So we felt that it was unfair, and we felt that we wanted to speak out about it. We made a song about it. It turned into kind of this PSA. We ended up getting recognized for it, getting an award for it. Now, all that wasn't important to us, like getting recognized. It's just more people. And what we found that even in our audience, it was a challenge, you know, because not everyone agrees with it. So people would come to our shows, wouldn't agree with what we were saying all the time, and we just felt, well, sometimes you got to make a choice. And right now, you're approached by the Wilderness Society of all places, right? So who is the Wilderness Society? Well, they happen to control, well, not control, but have a real policy impact in most of the San Gabriel Mountains of the Los Angeles Basin. And most of where our water comes from in the Los Angeles Basin is actually from the San Gabriel Mountains. I doubt that people know that. So it's something that I was approached by, it really resonated with me, and they wanted to have like a different approach to engaging younger people about the environment, about their water. Now, the people in the office, they don't do this kind of work. They've been asking, like, what do we do? Like, we have no idea what to do. We got with they wanted to reach younger people. We made this we're making it at the moment. This electronic, almost hip hop song and there's a concept behind it about this kid robot. You know, there's a video he's riding the bus to school, but he's like a robot. And then the mountains keep coming into his view. And then little by little, he gets called to the mountains. He or she, we don't know yet. He goes up to the mountains, and kids follow him like the Pied Piper up into the mountains. And as soon as he gets to the mountains, he turns back into a human. And the only message we're trying to say is that there's all this nature around us that we kind of forget about, and that it has an impact. Now, this is something new for us, you know, but it was something interesting for me, and I just thought, wow, that's cool. And here's a different way that maybe we could bring people some attention to the importance of the San Gabriel Mountains, which you see every day, but I don't know if you actually look at them. So there's one way, an example of something of why we may use who we are as a band that's kind of different, interesting. I find it that it's really unique. It makes my job more interesting, and it actually, I learn stuff, and it carries some weight in a different thing. So there's different ways to use what we do to start talking about different things and bringing some attention to it.
So you mentioned underdogs, and without making a connection, I wonder if you could say a little bit about your work with the Dodgers.
The Dodgers? I'm a huge baseball fan, and it's interesting because there's a lot of, you know, the way the Dodgers, if you know the history of the Dodgers, the way that it came into the city of Los Angeles was really a negative impact on a lot of people. I don't know if many of you are aware of that, but where the Dodger Stadium was a place called Chavez Ravine where people lived, and pretty much the city, claimed it as I forget what it's called, the term, eminent domain, and pretty much kicked people out. And there's still people around today, you know, who call that as an issue. I didn't find that out until I was growing older. My dad was a baseball coach. I grew up playing baseball. I played all the way through high school. And it wasn't for any team that was really good, so it's not like I was special at that or anything. But I love the game. And as I got older, it's something I'm still pretty involved in. And I don't know how it first happened, but they approached us. They have the shows there before their games sometimes. I'm not sure how the connection started, but we ended up making a video for them. We made 2 songs for them, and it became this kind of connection with what, as you know, for a couple of years we were kind of involved with them. I'm a huge baseball fan, and so I'll go to the games by myself. I'll go to the games with people. I'll get really good free seats sometimes, and I'll pay for really bad seats sometimes. There's a question.
So this is Francisco, who's the professor of the
Professor,
class.
how you doing?
The professor.
What's up?
So I was wondering, you were talking about respect towards other cultures. Can you tell us more about your job as a culture ambassador for the State Department?
Anybody want to tap in with that? Uli, what's it?
How it started or how it ended or?
Respect element. Respect.
Oh, the respect element.
Well, just to fill people in real quickly, for like a good 4 or 5 years, we were cultural ambassadors for the State Department. So they actually gave us money to travel to places that bands never go to play. And this was somewhat of there was a little bit of a schism in the band as far as whether or not we should do it, because obviously there's part of us that were like, man, let's not take that money, it's dirty money, and da-da-da. And there was the ghosts.
Yeah.
Who here works for the CIA? No, okay.
Check for microphone.
Yes.
That's what you guys wanted.
Yeah, right. A little. See, and now the mic doesn't work. Okay. So we understood that it was an opportunity for us to go to. We went to Madagascar. We went to Nepal. We played in Kathmandu for 10,000 people. We played in Mongolia for, I think it was estimated 17,000 people. Ulaanbaatar. We were in Indonesia, Middle East, which was a very, very interesting trip because this was in the middle of the whole battle with the middle Gulf War, and you name it. So we you know, at that point we realized that we had to create our own story if we were going to do this job. We had to make it about Ozomatli, sharing music, sharing vibes, sharing positivity with the rest of the world. And I think that's kind of where the respect part of it is, that when we go to these places, it's all about us trying to connect with the locals and trying to contribute and absorb as much of what we can in that very short time, and not go in there with a certain mentality that I think sometimes the rest of the world expects of Americans. And for us, it was very enlightening in 2 aspects. I think one of them being that no matter where we went in the world, I think we realized the connections we have with other people around the world and how much we have in common instead of what the differences are, you know? And we had some very, 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 very special moments doing this work. And our last thing that I think we did was Lithuania and Poland, which was kind of one of the more kind of like darker ones, because it was a very gray trip, and we were going to Treblinka, we were going to all these really heavy, heavy places, and but then again, there was some times where it was completely inspiring. You know, one of the ones I remember, we went to Old Delhi, and we went to an orphanage to play music for these kids. And Jiro has studied Indian music for, you know, that's what he got his degree in North Classical Indian Music. And here, you know, here's a bunch of Yankees walking in, hey, what's up, kids? And they were having their tabla, which is an Indian drums, you know, they're having a class. And Jiro just sat next to them and just started rocking with them. And the look on their eyes, like the connection, the immediate connection that music can play, is just amazing. And I think that's that kind of like respect, that constant respect for other culture and other things that might not necessarily gel with you, but it's the respect.
So it was mostly a learning experience for you, like exposing American culture to other cultures?
Just off the bat, like if you think Nepal, right? there was maybe 30 people who even knew who we were. The rest of the people were just like, oh, there's some band from LA coming. So they're probably expecting the Beach Boys looking like dudes, you know, like where are these guys coming in? And then they see us, and it's like, I think immediately it shows that the wonderful melting pot that LA is, and that potentially the whole United States can be, you know?
So it seems like there's a method of respect the culture, learn the rules, and then mix it up and share that with other people.
And have fun.
And have fun.
I mean, really, we're musicians, and we do this because it's fun. Our job is cool, man, and we're lucky. And sometimes you have long days and travel, but it's nothing to complain about in any real kind of way, as far as I'm concerned. It's like, so, you know, it's a lot of that. It's a lot of like dancing. Like, let's get together and dance, and what we felt is like, if there's a beat anywhere in the world, people will start dancing. And that has allowed us to play for tens of thousands of people who did not know us. Because as soon as we start playing a beat, it's like, oh, I know what this is. And so that basic connection that we can all have is something that it's why we've gotten all these opportunities. I mean, we're a dance band, you know, and even with songs that are mellower, it's like the idea of rhythm is very, very important to us. And all the things that we've ever tapped into, those are the things that, as a group, move us the most. That's when we get all excited, you know, because it's a certain feeling, a certain emotion from the beat of music. So I think that basic fact, you know, it cuts through everything, language, through any kind of differences. And when we start rocking, and there's kids I've never met in my life, have no idea who we are, and they just start dancing, it's like, we're going to be all right.
Can we hear some music?
Yeah.
It's also. Can you turn it off?
1, 2, yeah. It's also about bridging the gap. I mean, after 9/11, one of the main things. All right. One of the main
things that you see happening is you start demonizing, you know, whoever you're at war with, or like how Latinos are demonized along the borders when it comes to all the undocumented issues that are going on. It was important to go on these trips with an open mind and bridge that gap, bridge those stigmas that are just birthed out of nowhere in every.
So you speak up.
Yeah. It's just important to bridge that gap amongst all of those. People start demonizing the whole thing with the Middle East. It was important for us to connect with those people, to really firsthand speak to people that are just common people. What people are used to seeing over there is, I mean, everybody has this idea of you come in and you see this white guy with blue eyes and a suit coming in. But when I was starting talking to regular folks, it's like, no, we see you guys all the time, Latinos and African Americans. Yeah, Marines. You come here with guns, yeah. So, all right, so at least
No
you
wonder
see
they don't
something
like us
really
in
different.
movies, huh?
So it was really important for us to really come in and show them something different.
Yeah.
It was really important to bridge those gaps. You know, I think as musicians, being always having that soapbox, in a way, digitally or in person, it's important to accept the responsibility of how things are worded. Like earlier we said anti-war rallies, and I think it's better to say, pro-peace. As you take more of these classes, I think you'll understand why those words are so powerful. Sometimes when you approach things dogmatic, in a dogmatic way, all the people you're trying to reach to get that message, they stop listening. So the best tool that I've learned is music, through emotion, through experience. Rather than just sitting up here and talking about it.
Play some music. Play some.
So with that segue, I'm going to ask the band members just say a little bit about their new album, A Place in the Sun. They're going to play 2 songs from that, and one of those songs you're going to be given access to download. And you'll be given an opportunity to put together a video using that song as the soundtrack and upload it to the site. We've got pages where you can do that. I'll remind you afterwards, but just a chance to hear the band. Two songs from their new album, Brighter and Place in the Sun. It's the name of the album, and it's the song you'll be given access to. Then some Q&A and videotape throughout, because this is your chance to become filmmakers.
So the new record, the title of it kind of came into the idea that we've been doing this for a long time, and we've created kind of the space for ourselves. It was very, it was not planned out. It wasn't something that we thought of with the big arc of how we were going to get this done. We just decided to play a lot of music for a lot of different people, and we kind of created our own space and for ourselves. And what we feel is that that's kind of what people have to do when they're trying to create something in a world that they're happy with and that they're own. Because oftentimes you don't get what, it just doesn't come natural. Like you don't walk out the door and it's all there set for you. Sometimes you have to work. Sometimes you have to create your own idea of what you want for yourselves. Sometimes those structures aren't even there. Sometimes you have to work hard and battle. Sometimes you have to find like-minded people. You know, all those things that can create whatever, you know, kind of job you want, whatever kind of experience you want as a human. So that's what the title of the record means. This is a song called Brighter, which has like a reggae influence. It was written with us by this guy named Dave Stewart, who first came on the scene with a band called the Eurythmics, and now you know, writes and produces for a lot of people. So this song is called Brighter, and we'll see how it goes.
All right, campfire style, eh?
Anybody have any questions?
We're gonna play another song, but we want to ask if you have any questions first,
What do you say?
because there's another guy coming who's in the band. So we want to play
He's
the
late.
next song.
Anybody else have a question?
Questions? You can
Don't
also
be
do
shy.
it. You can do
Yes,
it.
young man right there.
You guys said there's other members in the band. How many total are in the band? And is it a revolving thing? Or?
At this moment, there's 7.
Okay. So
At times there's been 10. For many years it was 10. And then we got changes with our original MC and we had a DJ, we had other horn player. And those shifted and now there's 7 of us. Yeah. Any other questions? There we go, blue shirt.
As musicians, who are some artists that you all look up to?
Who do I look up to, like today or just period? Or, I mean, lately I've really been into Miles Davis, but I wasn't into kind of really studying it as much as I am now. I've always known of someone as important as that, but I go through phases. You know, so right now I'd say that.
Sorry.
Growing up, I was really into the Clash. When you asked that question, I saw it when I was 7 years old. I saw Gil Scott-Heron here at Royce Hall. I remember I was 7 years old, and so I remember that. But lately, I've been into regional Mexican music pretty heavily.
The first artist that came to my mind when you said that was Prince. I think he has probably the best live show I've ever seen, and some really great recordings too. But I tend to listen to a lot of world music from all over the place. You know, a lot of people I don't even know. I find out who they are, what, different countries, just all kinds of random crazy stuff.
I grew up with a musical family, and they always play like mambos and stuff. I have pictures of my grandpa looking like Desde Ernesto de Tumbadora, but he was from Tabasco, like Chicoche and stuff. But yeah, and then my mom loved Elvis and James Brown, and I really got into that. And then somehow in high school, I got into Miles really early on. And since I played trumpet, I really wanted to do that. I wanted to play jazz, or all that weird stuff he did, but there wasn't much money in jazz, so I started getting into the other stuff. I was in both the burrito circuit and the cuchifrito circuit, before Ozomatli. After class, we'll talk about it if you have any more questions about that. And then where I met Gito was at Cal Arts. He had really long hair, and I got into all the other crazy music that you get into when you're in college. And, then Ozomatli came.
For me, just real quick, my dad was a classical violinist, and so classical music was always big in the house, and that's what the fundamentals of my music education were. And then after that, I mean, obviously jazz, because I'm a saxophone player. But listening-wise, I was always into music that had a lot of message. So growing up, I was super into punk rock. I was super into bands like the Dead Kennedys, bands like Crass, and bands like, bands that had something to say that really wasn't just about boy meets girl, boy loses girl vibe. And then after that, obviously, Jamaican music was a big influence on me. Early ska, Jamaican music, and then after that, you name it, the world. People like Fela Kuti, Bob Marley, obviously, bands like that.
More questions? You know you have them.
You got one.
Way in the back.
What area you guys from, and did that influence your musical?
We'll just go down the line. What areas like we grew up in LA? I was born in Hollywood, but I grew up in Bell. And we're known for our corruption, and that's what we've been in the news for,
It's true.
And it's true, and that's why I came out the way I am.
I lived in Mexico for a while, but when I came to America, it was in Glassell Park, and how that influenced us? Well, there's a song, called Cumbia de los Muertos, that I talk about my neighborhood and the way things were, and all the gang activity and all the weird stuff that happened around then. I mean, I was there when Clinton said, let's go in there and get rid of those cholos, and that was pretty messed up. You got all the wrong guys. But anyway, that's where I grew up in LA.
I was born in New York, and grew up in Tokyo, and spent time also in upstate New York, and then moved out here in like '89 after I kind of went across the country to Colorado and San Francisco. So for sure, the way I was coming up for sure influenced my the way I see the world and the way music and experiencing different culture growing up and kind of navigating that for sure influenced who I am now and fits perfectly within Ozomatli, because that's what it's about. Is like, you know, what you bring to this group is what the music becomes. So it's perfectly.
Born and raised in LA, MacArthur Park, Pico Union. Yeah, I've been in MacArthur Park. That's kind of where hip hop landed in 1983 when I was 10 years old. That's where it landed in West Coast, and I was there, so I was really into that. My parents also took me to a lot of reggae festivals growing up, so I was into reggae, and with the community that I grew up in, listened to like a lot of cumbia, like merengue, punta, carifuna, like different types of Central American music. But then in high school, I dated a girl from Mexico, and she got me into banda norteño. And since then, that's all I've been into.
I grew up in Boyle Heights, and right on 4th and Lorena, you know the bridge right there underneath. Now, and She knows what I'm talking about. And I live in El Sereno, so I think the landscape of that, and I think most of the music I was influenced by was in my house, because everyone loved music in my house. But everyone was different ages. So I was the youngest, so I had my parents. And my parents were Chicanos who were born in Boyle Heights also. So my mother was born like by Pecan Park. My dad was born like across from grew up across from the Mercado. I grew up like 5 blocks from there. And then I had an older sister. One was 11 years older than me, like 9, and then 5. So they were all into different music. So I'd hear everything from like, you know, like the Los Panchos to old R&B music, to like Jefferson Airplane and the Doors, to like teeny bopper music in the 70s, like Bobby Sherman, you know who that was? So, you know, it's like all different stuff I hear in my house. So I think that and just all that mix of what that neighborhood was for people, where it was a mix of where people were from in Mexico, where people had grown up there and were listening to music there. That's kind of what I've always been into, that mix. So I hear songs, I'm really into songs, so I'll hear good songs of all different kinds of cultures, and it gets me really excited. So, yeah.
One more question. How about from one of the women in the class?
Yeah.
From the guys.
Good observation.
Right there, right behind you. Here you go.
Do all of you write the lyrics, or is it like one person who writes the lyrics?
I think it's all, it varies. Sometimes it's like one person may write the bulk of the song, to where all of us may write the whole thing, and kind of it goes through a transformation. So there's no real set way we do it. I think what tends to happen is, it's the ones that we all kind of agree on in the end are the ones that make it to the records and to the ones that end up getting recorded. And it comes in all different ways. You know, the last song was started with, like I said, Dave Stewart, who outside of the band is a writer without you. He brought that to us, and then we kind of put our own take on it. To other songs that we're all involved in, and we all talk about the subject and what it should be about and parts, and so there's no one way that we get it done.
So we ready for another song?
Sure.
This is Justin, everybody.
We have a new member.
You want to say hello?
The band just grew.
Yeah, that's how it happens.
Let's enjoy it today.
Yeah.
Okay, this is the title song from the new album, Place in the Sun.
Cordless, man. This is real rock and roll right here.
In agreement to feel.
Hey, hey, hey.
Easy breezy Cali phrase. Out in the sun, I love to stay. Simple lips, simple ways. Oh, I'm trying to find that shine. Through the palms and the vines that sway. On the boulevard of stars, blitzing the scars. When it dries, you can find your place. Oh, come on.
I'm your place in the sun.
Were you reading the lyrics off the cell phone?
I was. Unfortunately. The song is so new, so it's going by so fast, I forget. Brain farts, you know.
So we've got time for one or two more questions, and then want to have the band reemphasize what they'd like you to do with the video you've been taking, and your own thoughts about your place in culture and changing the world. So, any more questions? We'll start with women in the class again. How about in the first row?
Or the second row.
I just came from teaching, so I'm used to kind of calling on.
You with the hair.
Yeah, with the hair. You with the hair.
Don't be shy.
Here we go.
What do you
Since we are calling on women, has there been any songs like in favor of women's rights or just, I don't know, anything?
Specifically about that, I'd say no. Do you want to write one?
Yeah, just wondering, since we're-
That's how it gets done.
So if they upload a song, you'll look at it. Huh?
Sure, we always do this stuff. People give us stuff all the time. I mean, it's important. But I think, like, I guess the point I'm trying to make of that is usually even with us, like, if we want something done, you usually have to, like, bring it to the band and, like, say, here it is, or I'm going to do this. And I'm just encouraging, like, if you see that there's a need for that, maybe you sit with us and write a song. That's how it gets done. For real.
He's asking where to send that song. So.
info@ozomatli.com. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll give you Raul's cell phone after.
There you go.
This cat.
I have a question for the crowd. Like, what's the percentage of people who are artists or musicians, or raise your hand? Raise your hand.
Be proud. Raise your hand up high if you're an artist or a writer. Or
and what's the rest of the mix? Just away from the arts.
How many Chicano studies majors here?
Chicano studies.
How many political science?
Political science, nice.
What else we got? History? Yeah. We knew about the question. Yeah.
Well, we want you all. You got a question? Yeah, let's hear it.
You guys said that it was important to stay genuine. Like, once you guys got into the music industry, what was the hardest part about staying genuine?
I mean, I don't know. It's just like any other job. Like there's people you like and people you don't. You know, and it's not a big deal. It's kind of like you gotta walk through the planet with that. So I think when we work with people, whether it's like from a record label or manager, you want to find some basic agreements and some basic understandings of one another. I think what genuine, it means different things to other people. I think for us it's just being okay with what we're doing, like never doing it to the point where it's like, I shouldn't be doing this, you know, like never putting yourself in that position. And you know, and that's not always perfect either, because there's a lot of us, and sometimes there's like one of us or two of us who like don't agree with the rest, and sometimes we just gotta move forward. So I think it's just being as genuine as you can, so that what you're doing, what you're singing, that you're like in line with, so that you're not doing anything you don't really want to do. And for me, that's like, it's kind of for the basic enjoyment of my life, because I don't want to be doing work I'm not really feeling or that I don't want to do. I think it would just, my days would be kind of miserable.
So we're going to have one last question about who's in the room. How many of you feel it's important to give back to your community and to push for social justice? Okay.
Is that genuine? Well, what we want you all to do is check out ozomatli.com, and /Ozomatli Day. That's if you want to upload any of your videos, and you'll be able to get the song, Place in the Sun, and be able to do whatever you want with it and make your own idea of what that place in the sun might look like for you. And #Ozomatli Day, tweet, do whatever you want. We respond. We want you to follow us on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram. We love making new friends everywhere we go, and we wish you all mad success in school and in life, and we look forward to attending one of your classes in the future. Thanks.
I realize your class is over, but the band will be here for at least another 10 minutes. Come get your selfies. Yeah! And thank you for coming.